Hey there, and welcome back to my desk. So today we're gonna be doing something completely dumb. Because I have the power to do so, since why not? We're gonna be comparing the styluses of every single Nintendo or actually just like every single stylus that Nintendo has ever produced. Like almost every single stylus. We'll get to that later, but I don't know what you call, I don't know what you call multiple of those like styluses, styli, whatever you call them. But I don't know. I just figured it'd be fun since I have like a bunch of Nintendo stuff lying around, and it's like they all have a stylus in each of them, and I figured it would be fun to compare them, see which one's better or something like that. I don't know if I'm gonna rank them, but I don't know. I just thought it would be interesting. So why not we start off with the OG Nintendo DS, also better known as the DS Fat. Now this is the first handheld. A lot of people like dunk on how this thing just looks like an absolute unit, but I don't know, I kind of like it. It's like sort of nostalgic in a way with all this like super. It's kind of like trying to be futuristic while also being very dated at the same time. Lots of it's taking a little bit of inspiration from the GBA SP and all that, but it's kind of cool. But whatever. So this is the first Nintendo DS Stylus. It's pretty thin. Like the top bit is actually, I don't know how to get this on camera, but at the top it is incredibly thin, and it's actually not that long. I don't have any other of these styluses to compare it to, but it's a moderate length. You can like use it no problem on this like kind of crappy screen, to be honest. Like look at this. It's not the best touchscreen. I have Mario 64 DS loaded on here because I felt it'd be. This is also technically a stylus, right? This is the thumb pad for those who don't know. So you're supposed to like slide your thumb into this, and then in games like Mario 64 DS, this like cable is kind of messy. You could use this instead of the D-pad for like analog controls, which I mean sort of works. It's like smooth. You can like easily swipe it across the screen, but I don't know. Like this could technically count as one of their official styluses. It'd be kind of interesting to see like how much of Mario 64 DS I can play with this. That could be its own separate video, but it's a half hit, half miss sort of deal. I mean, it kind of works, but anyway, that is the original DS. I'm gonna put this over there. I'm gonna take this out so I can compare it to the DS Lite. Now, you might be wondering, what's with this color scheme? So basically, my original, the Nintendo DS Lite was actually one of my very first handhelds, and I got a white model from a family member. And of course, being my first handheld, it has seen better days. So another person gave me red and black DS that was basically not working because the hinge was broken and all that. And somehow I managed to just, merge the two halves together hardware-wise to create this weird color hybrid. It's probably not the cleanest looking thing. Like, I make the entire outside black if I could, and then the inside being white. That'd be cool. I like the black buttons on the white background though. But yeah, I also have this black stylus that so compared to the original, it is a heck of a lot thicker, and so this is the starting point where they started having like thicker styluses and also longer as well. So this is definitely really comfortable. This is like one of the definitive DS units. So it makes sense to have a decent stylus, and also it doesn't like fall out easily, like because a common issue with DS units is that the stylus falls out and it's just gone. My original white unit, I don't think I have the stylus for that anymore. So it's good to have a stylus that can, fit inside the holder nice and snug so that it doesn't, fall out, and this doesn't accidentally come out often. So that's great. That's the DS Lite. And now we have the DSi. So the camera autofocus. So it's very similar. The DSi is like, form factorized very similar to the DS Lite. It's like a lot more rectangular now. But Also, mine is a bit yellowed because I got this used, obviously, and yeah, it's seen better days. But it's not too bad. It's very similar to the DS. It's even longer actually. Is it? Oh, about the same. Just a tad bit longer. But they're incredibly similar. Like almost a similar thickness as well. Maybe the DSi one's even more thick. So you know, the stylus has just been like continuously improving, right? So that's the DSi. These are all decent styluses. Like the original DS one might be a bit too shoddy, like a bit too short for my tastes. It's not bad, I guess. And then we have the Dsi XL. So I was wondering, so there are like two styluses from Nintendo that I don't have in here with me today. One of which is the larger stylus that also came with the Dsi XL. Like you couldn't fit that big thing in the Dsi XL itself, but it serves as like a larger stylus where if you want to do like, I don't know, extra large writing or something like that. I don't know if that's actually more comfortable. I've heard people say good things about it. And right off the bat, this one's like a lot more sturdier. I don't know if it's just the unit itself, but yeah, I have to like use some force to take it out. And this is the Dsi XL Stylus. Again, very similar. Is it even longer? Gee, huh. It's actually not... It's not too far off, actually. It's not the exact same. I can't put this in here, can I? Oh, well, I can, but, like, it doesn't exactly sit flush. There's, like, just a little gap in there. I guess I could, theoretically. Let me take the DSi out here. Yeah, if I try to fit the Dsi XL Stylus on the DSi, it sticks out a little bit. So it is just a little bit longer, which is, you know, still an improvement, I guess. The longer the stylus, the better. Whoops, let me put that over there. So, yeah, these have all been just continuously longer than each other. And then we have the 3DS family of systems, as Nintendo likes to call them. Now, the 3DS is very interesting. So I actually did lose my original 3DS stylus, but this is a replacement. And it's a bit sturdy here right now, but I'm pretty sure my old one was lost because it got loose over the years. But so this is a short one, ain't it? So at first glance it looks shorter, but Nintendo, of course, the geniuses, made this a telescoping stylus, so you can extend it. And now it's even longer than the Dsi XL Stylus. This is actually a really, really good design. I don't know why. Like, this is literally, the 3DS is literally the only system in which they had like an extendable stylus. And it's just like incredibly comfortable if you want to use it to, I don't know, play Kid Icarus Uprising or something. But yeah, like it doesn't even like accidentally retract if you like, you know, it doesn't retract on its own. It's very sturdy. If you shake it, you know. That's a really good stylus. Like this, probably peak Nintendo stylus. This could be subjective or hotly debatable. Now, unfortunately, the only like Nintendo handheld that I don't have the stylus for is the 3DS XL. Whoops. But yeah, this one also suffered the lost stylus fate that my old 3DS did. Now, I did get a replacement stylus, but it's not original from Nintendo. I did get a third party, also telescoping stylus, and it actually fits the 3DS XL, not the 3DS, because this like fits perfectly in this slot right here. And if I like fully extend this, it'd be fun to compare the two. Wow, that is not even close. Okay, that is a big, okay. Yeah, that is like very long. This might be the longest one. Well, it's not fair to compare these two those because this is not official, but I'm gonna see if any other styles can top this one. But before we move on, after the 3DS XL came the Wii U Gamepad. Yes, I did not forget about the Wii U. Also, if the camera can focus on there, that would be okay. There we go. So the Wii U Gamepad, I don't know, very comfortable controller. That aside, it also had its own stylus, and that is actually pretty good. Like, I think it's like a bit thicker than the Ds Stylus is, because it's meant for a home console use, and so it feels a bit better on my hands, I think, like compared to something like the 3DS Stylus. It's a bit more sturdier, I suppose. That's how you think about it. It's like the material. I guess you could say this one is a bit more. How do I? I have no idea how to describe materials, but something about this just feels a lot more sturdier to me. Maybe because it's designed for a home console. Maybe it's just my bias is showing because this is supposed to be a controller for a home console. I'm not gonna put that back in there. I'm just gonna leave this. But yeah. Is it longer than the 3DS one though? It's about the same size. Okay, no, it's a bit shorter. So now we finally have the 3DS so far. It's the longest official stylus. It can compare to the 3DS XL third-party one I have, obviously. But Wii U Gamepad, very solid stylus. It's kind of like harkens back to the Dsi XL days. Just make it even like longer. Instead, I guess like. Yeah, the Dsi XL Stylus definitely feels a bit cheaper, like quality. It's a bit more lightweight, whereas this one feels more sturdier. So that's the Wii U Gamepad, and then we have everyone's favorite punching bag in 2013, the 2DS, the original one. Now, oh, this is my capture card, by the way, so that's why it's got this thing there on the top. But there's a neat little like stylus placement. It kind of like fits in well. There's a pretty large top bit there. Slides out. And ooh. Okay, let's put this to the side. This is not bad as well. Like, that top bit seems to be very sturdy here. It's got like these grooves to help you like, pull it out, compared to the more smoother Wii U is that like these are incredibly similar. Like, at this point, Nintendo has just been like making the styluses exactly like a very similar way. Like, aside from like the top, like the bottom could basically like look the same. Can I fit this in there? Yeah, I can like almost fit the Wii U Gamepad stylus in there. That is kinda interesting. So the 2DS and Wii U, very similar in build quality. Right now, it seems like they've just been like very consistent, right? Now here comes the new 3DS. First of all, let me put the 2DS to the side first. Give me a second. The handhelds I put to the side, they're almost toppled over, so good thing I checked on them. But the new 3DS. First of all, sweet looking console. Amazing looking handheld. But also, they're back to the tiny styluses. This is just so tiny. I mean, I like this, but this is like just a bit too small, and they've changed the top to like this little like fin, like compared to like, yeah, that is like super. Is it even like? Wow, it's almost okay. It's still longer than the original DS Stylus, but they've changed the top bit here to like this little like weird kind of like wedge. So the intention for that is to like, you can like stick this in one of these like gaps in the cover plate and then remove it. Of course, after you unscrew it, of course. But it's a kind of a weird design, I guess. But it's still like a bit too like thin for my liking, and short as well compared to my giant hands. And is it like the second shortest, like compared to this is the DS Lite? Yep, it's shorter than the DS Lite stylus. What about the 3DS stylus when it's small? Okay, no, I can't compare it to that. But yeah, kind of a short stylus you got there. Maybe the new 3DS XL will fare a lot better. So, whoop. New 3DS XL, very similar like shape in terms, but they like they made it a bit more fat, which is good, but it doesn't seem to be as long. Compare this to the Wii U Gamepad. well, not the Wii U Gamepad. I was gonna compare it to something like the Dsi XL. I mean, both are XL system. It makes sense to compare the two. And yeah, this is definitely shorter. And for the 3DS, still shorter. 2DS, shorter. New 3DS, wow, it's really just slightly longer. Also the same wedge shape at the top. So yeah, it's still like a bit on the shorter side, but you know, I used this for like 5 years and I'm fine with it. But this is like slightly getting loose in my like 3DS XL after like using it for so long. If I like slightly swipe it upwards, I can like remove it from the casing, which is why I've had like a few scares where I almost lost it in the process. So thank goodness I'm not bringing this like system out much anymore, because it would have been like one time I came back home like with the 3DS XL and the stylus was missing. I was like, where did it go? I was starting to panic, and then it turns out the stylus dropped out inside my bag when the 3DS XL was rattling around in it. So that was fun. But yeah, new 3DS XL. The new system's kind of like iffy styluses. The 3DS XL is like slightly better, but eh. Alright. And before we get to the new 2DS XL, we've got the Nintendo Switch. I heard what you're thinking. AK, the Switch doesn't have a stylus. Okay, first you probably know that there's already a stylus for the Switch, which is this capacitive stylus, which was bundled with Brain Age on the Switch. That is, as of this video, is still not out in America. I don't know why. It's like payback, because Europeans waited for like 3 years to get brain training on 3DS. So payback time, I guess. But this is a decent stylus. Okay, I'm gonna put Mario Maker 2 in the background as background music. But this is a decently long stylus. I think it's longer than It's longer than the Wii U Gamepad. It's actually one of the longest ones yet. Is it longer than the 3DS? Wow, it's actually about the same size. Well, if you ignore the top bit. This is very long. But it's a pretty comfortable stylus. Like, it's got a mesh tip at the end for, like, you know, because it's a capacitive stylus instead of a resistive one. But it works well for games like Mario Maker. And I mean, you don't need this for like, I don't know how good this is for drawing specifically, but you know, for games like Mario Maker, it works decently well. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just like doing some random. I'm just litter the coins. Okay, all right, that is the Switch stylus. It's actually a decent stylus for, you know, writing in Brain Age and all that. I'm not sure for drawing, but you know, this tip doesn't feel like because usually when you get like one of those cheap capacitive styluses for mobile phones, smartphones, they usually have like this super soft rubber tip that doesn't feel like you're actually drawing on the surface of a screen. But this one actually, I don't mind this like mesh tip that much. It actually fits very well, has like decent friction and everything. So decent stylus, and it's very long. And of course, to follow up with this, we have currently the latest and might possibly be one of the last plastic styluses produced by Nintendo for their dedicated handhelds, because we don't know if Nintendo's going to do dedicated handhelds in the future, aside from the Switch Lite. But new 2DS XL. Glorious console. I like it. Like this, I got this purple model. I specifically had to import it from the US because stores were no longer selling new 2DS XLs after the Switch came out. But yeah, gorgeous purple color. I really, really dig this design. It's like a very fitting final 3DS. But for those of you who've never like seen the stylus of a new 2DS XL, guess how long it is? Alright, time's up. Look at this. Look. It's shorter than the original DS stylus. This is like, why? Compared to like, even with like, compared to the actual like body of the console, there's still like room for like a little bit more. Maybe it's because they like dumped all the guts, including the camera and speakers, onto the bottom half of the system and only left like the top half for the screen. But this is not good. This is like pathetically short. And if you want to like use this on a new 2DS, and it's just gonna be like, you're probably gonna be like holding it like this. It's true. I don't know if you can even like hold it from the side. I can barely hold it from the side. But you can probably hold it like this and just like, you know, draw. Why would you do that though? I don't know if anyone ever actually does that. But yeah, a bit of a shame that the last, technically the last plastic stylus that Nintendo has. Well, actually, the Swiss stylus actually came after the new 2DS XL. If you think about it a bit carefully, yeah. But it's kind of a bummer that, like, for the last dedicated handheld with a stylus, Nintendo gave us this. So, ordering this is gonna be a bit of a doozy. I'm gonna take this off. That's cheating. I'm not gonna take the third-party stylus, but, so here it is. Every official Nintendo stylus in chronological order, I believe, if I didn't mess it up during recording, but, so the Swiss stylus is obviously one of the longest, but, if we just remove that out of the picture, and just have, you know, the regular plastic resistive screen styluses. Honestly, I think they really just peaked in the original 3DS, like, because this telescoping stylus design is still like really fantastic, and I don't know why they stopped using it. Like, it's probably expensive to manufacture one of these, and you know, the original 3DS was just super over-engineered. We've got like, let me take it out. Okay, yeah, I'm slightly going off on a tangent here, but the original 3DS is just like super over-engineered, right? You've got these like, why did they make the start and select buttons like flat panels? You've got like the 3D slider actually has the 3D light on top that tells you when you can use the 3D. You've got the camera LED, you've got the notification light, of course, and you have the wireless like spar, like the DS like power slider, and it's like you've got the lights there. There's just like tons of freaking blinking lights everywhere. And like, this just feels a little bit over-engineered for a launch model, which is probably why they launched it for like, what, $250 when it first came out? And that's why nobody bought one, because it was just super intricate. And the telescoping stylus is probably part of the problem. But, I don't know. It's probably my favorite one out of the lot. Like, the Wii U Gamepad one is probably like the most sturdy, like, single-piece plastic stylus, I believe. Almost on par with the 2DS. Like, these two are pretty decent. The new model ones are a bit too short. The new 3DS smaller model one, especially, is super thin. This one's pathetic. And the other styluses have just been kind of leading up or exceeded by the Wii U Gamepad and 2DS styluses. So, I don't know. That's my ranking for the Nintendo styluses, I guess. I don't know why I'm doing this. Seriously, what was the point of this video? You just watched me talk for almost 24 minutes about about DS styluses. Like, go get a life. No, I was just kidding. Come back. I love you.